I come home to surprise my wife, and instead get surprised myself when I catch her in bed with my best friend. Now she blames me for everything. I am 28, have been serving in the U.S. Army for the past 2 years. I've been married to my wife, Karen, F27, for 4 years now. It was a love marriage, and we were really happy together, or so I thought. Last week, I got some leave approved and decided to surprise Karen by coming home without telling her. I was so excited to see her after being away for months. I still remember how we met in college. She was this vibrant, outgoing girl who caught my eye from day one. We started talking in our shared history class and hit it off immediately. Our first date was at this little coffee shop near campus. We talked for hours, losing track of time. I knew then that she was special. As our relationship grew, we made so many wonderful memories together. We'd go on weekend road trips, exploring new towns and trying local cuisines. Karen loved to sing, and I'd often find her belting out tunes while cooking or doing chores around the house. Her voice always put a smile on my face. One of my favorite memories is when I proposed to her. I took her to the beach at sunset. We walked along the shore, and as the sky turned beautiful shades of orange and pink, I got down on one knee and asked her to be my wife. The joy on her face when she said yes is something I'll never forget. Our wedding day was magical. Karen looked stunning in her white dress, and I couldn't believe how lucky I was to be marrying the woman of my dreams. We danced the night away, surrounded by our friends and family. It felt like the start of a beautiful journey together. Even after I joined the Army, we tried to make the most of our time together. We'd have long video calls when I was away, sharing stories about our days and making plans for the future. Whenever I came home on leave, Karen would always have something special planned. Sometimes it was a home-cooked meal of my favorite dishes. Other times it was a surprise weekend getaway. With all these memories in my heart, I was really looking forward to surprising her this time. I bought her favorite cake and a beautiful bouquet of roses. I used my spare key to quietly enter our house, planning to surprise her in the bedroom. As I approached the bedroom, I heard Karen giggling. At first, I thought she might be watching something funny on her phone, but then I heard a man's laugh too. My heart started racing, and I felt a knot forming in my stomach. When I opened the bedroom door, I couldn't believe my eyes. There was Karen in our bed, with my best friend Bill, M30. They both looked shocked to see me. Karen quickly pulled the sheets up to cover herself, while Bill just sat there with his mouth open, not knowing what to say. I felt like the ground had disappeared from under my feet. The cake box slipped from my hand and fell to the floor. The roses I was holding suddenly felt heavy, and I let them drop too. Karen started saying something, trying to explain, but I couldn't hear her words clearly. It was like there was a ringing in my ears. All I could focus on was the fact that my wife, the woman I loved and trusted, was in bed with my best friend. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I know I shouted at them. I was hurt, angry, and felt so betrayed. Karen kept trying to talk to me, but I didn't want to hear it. What explanation could possibly justify what I had just seen? I turned around and walked out of the room, out of the house. I could hear Karen calling after me, but I didn't stop. I got in my car and drove to my mom's house. I didn't know where else to go. Now I'm at my mom's place, trying to process what happened. I can't believe Karen would do this to me. And Bill? He was supposed to be my best friend. We've known each other since high school. He was even the best man at our wedding. How could he betray me like this? Karen has been calling and texting nonstop since I left. She's begging me to come back so we can talk. She says it was a mistake and that she loves me. But how can I believe her after what I saw? I'm so confused and hurt. I don't know what to do next. Part of me wants to go back and hear her out, to understand why she did this. But another part of me is so angry that I don't even want to look at her right now. I keep thinking about all the times I was away on duty, wondering if this has been going on the whole time. Was our entire marriage a lie? Were all those happy memories just a facade? I'm also worried about what this means for my career. If we get divorced, how will it affect my life in the Army? Will I be able to focus on my duties with all this personal unrest? My mom thinks I should take some time to cool off before making any decisions. She says I shouldn't do anything rash while I'm still emotional. But it's hard to think clearly when my whole world has been turned upside down. I've been trying to distract myself, but everywhere I look, there's something that reminds me of Karen. The wallpaper on my phone is still a picture of us from our last anniversary. I can't bring myself to change it yet. I keep replaying the moment I walked into that bedroom in my head. The look on Karen's face when she saw me. Was it guilt, shame, or just surprise at being caught? And Bill, how could he just sit there and say nothing? I'm also angry at myself. Why didn't I see any signs? Were there red flags that I missed because I was away so often? Should I have been a better husband somehow? My army buddies always talk about how lucky I am to have such a faithful and supportive wife waiting for me back home. What am I supposed to tell them now? How do I face my colleagues knowing that the picture-perfect marriage they thought I had was all a lie? I'm torn between wanting to forgive Karen and wanting to end our marriage right away. I took my vows seriously, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health. But does infidelity count as for worse? Am I obligated to try and work through this? Bill hasn't tried to contact me at all. I don't know if that makes me feel better or worse. I keep thinking about all the future plans Karen and I had made. We talked about having kids once I finished my current tour of duty. We even picked out names. Now all those dreams feel ruined. I'm also worried about practical things. Most of our stuff is in that house. If I decide not to go back, how do I get my things? The thought of seeing Karen again, of being in that house where I caught them, makes me feel sick. My leave is only for a week. I'm supposed to report back to duty in a few days. How am I supposed to focus on my job with all this going on? Should I ask for an extension? But then, I'd have to explain why, and I'm not sure I'm ready to tell my superiors about this mess. I feel like I'm in a daze. One moment I'm angry, wanting to file for divorce immediately. The next moment, I'm overwhelmed with sadness, missing the Karen I thought I knew. Then I feel numb, like this is all happening to someone else, and not me. I keep second-guessing my decision to leave. Should I have stayed and confronted them properly? Would that have made a difference? Or would it have just led to more lies and excuses? Sometimes I wish I had never come home early, that I had never found out. Is it better to know the truth, even if it hurts this much? Or would I have been happier living in ignorance? The logical part of my brain knows I need to start thinking about practical next steps, whether that's marriage counseling or divorce lawyers. But emotionally, I'm not ready to make any decisions yet. I feel like I'm grieving, not just for my marriage, but for the future I thought we had, for the trust I've lost, for the friendship with Bill that's now destroyed. Karen's latest text says she'll do anything to make this right, that she'll go to counseling, that she'll cut all ties with Bill. But can I ever trust her again? Even if I decide to try and work things out, will I always be wondering if she's being truthful? I'm also struggling with feelings of lack. Was I not a good enough husband? Did Karen cheat because I was away too often? Should I have done something differently? The more I think about it, the more questions I have. I feel like I'm on an emotional roller coaster. One minute I'm determined to be strong and move on. The next, I'm looking at old photos of Karen and me, remembering happier times and feeling heartbroken all over again. I know I need to make a decision soon. I can't avoid Karen forever, and I need to figure out what I'm going to do about my living situation and my belongings. But right now, every option feels impossible. Should I have stayed and talked it out? What would you do in my situation? Update. It's been a few months since my last post, and a lot has happened. I wanted to give you all an update on my situation. After spending some time at my mom's place and talking things through with her and a counselor, I finally decided to divorce Karen. It wasn't an easy decision, but I felt it was the right one for me. I couldn't see myself ever trusting her again after what she did. I hired a lawyer and had divorce papers drawn up. I decided to have them sent to Karen rather than delivering them myself. I didn't think I could face her without losing my calmness. A few days after the papers were sent, Karen called me. I was expecting her to beg me to reconsider or to apologize again, but her tone was completely different this time. She was angry, accusatory even. "So you're divorcing me?" she spat. "That's rich coming from you, you hypocrite." I was confused. "What are you talking about, Karen?" "Don't play dumb with me," she said. "Bill told me everything about your affairs with your female colleagues in the army. How dare you act all high and mighty when you've been cheating on me this whole time?" I was stunned. Not only was this accusation completely false, but I couldn't believe Bill would stoop so low as to make up lies about me. "Karen, that's absolutely not true," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "I have never cheated on you. Bill is lying." "Why would Bill lie?" she shot back. "He's been nothing but supportive of me since you left. Unlike you, who just ran away without even talking to me. I felt a surge of anger. Are you serious right now? I caught you in bed with my best friend, and you're accusing me of running away. And now you're believing the words of the guy you cheated with over your husband? Well, at least Bill was here for me, she said. He told me how you've been flirting with your female colleagues, how you've been unfaithful during your deployments. He said he couldn't stand by and watch you deceive me anymore. I was disgusted, not just with Bill for making up these lies, but with Karen for believing them so easily. Karen, I said, trying to keep my voice steady, if you had any doubts about my fidelity, you should have talked to me about it. Instead, you chose to believe Bill and sleep with him. Do you realize how messed up that is? I was hurt and confused, she said, but her voice lacked any real remorse. Bill was there for me. He understood what I was going through. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It was like I was talking to a completely different person, not the woman I had married and loved for years. Even if what Bill said was true, which it absolutely isn't, I said, that doesn't justify what you did. You could have confronted me. You could have asked for a divorce. Instead, you chose to cheat. Well, maybe if you had been a better husband, I wouldn't have needed to turn to Bill, she snapped. That was the last straw for me. I realized at that moment that I had made the right decision in filing for divorce. I didn't want to be with someone who could so easily believe the worst about me and use it to justify their own bad behavior. Karen, I said, my resolve strengthening, I want you to listen carefully. I have never cheated on you. Not once. Not ever. The fact that you would believe these lies about me, especially coming from the man you cheated with, tells me everything I need to know about our relationship. I'm going through with this divorce, and I'm glad I'm doing it. I don't want to be married to someone who doesn't have faith in me, and who jumps into bed with a man spreading lies about her husband. There was a pause on the other end of the line. When Karen spoke again, her tone had changed. It was almost taunting. You know what? Fine. Go ahead with the divorce. Bill is twice the man you'll ever be. He'll keep me happy in ways you never could. I felt a mix of hurt and anger at her words, but mostly, I felt relieved. This conversation had confirmed that I was making the right choice. Good luck with that, Karen, I said. I hope you and Bill are very happy together. And with that, I hung up. The divorce proceedings went ahead. It was a difficult and stressful time, but I was sure of my decision. Karen didn't contest anything, probably thinking she'd be riding off into the sunset with Bill. A few months after our divorce was finalized, I heard through mutual friends about what happened with Karen and Bill. Apparently, Bill had started to gaslight Karen, making her doubt herself and her decisions. He'd make plans and then not show up, or deny saying things that he had definitely said. It was a classic manipulation tactic. Then, one day, Bill just disappeared. He stopped answering Karen's calls and texts. He moved out of her apartment without telling her where he was going. He essentially ghosted her. Karen was devastated. She tried to reach out to me, probably hoping for sympathy or support, but I kept my distance. I didn't feel any joy in her pain, but I did feel a sense of justification in my decision to leave. Looking back on everything that happened, I can see now that Bill had probably been manipulating both of us for a long time. He saw an opportunity when I was deployed and took advantage of Karen's loneliness and insecurities. Then, when he was caught, he made up lies about me to make himself look better and drive a wedge between Karen and me. I'm not excusing Karen's actions. She still made the choice to cheat, and she chose to believe Bill's lies without even talking to me first. But I can see how she fell victim to his manipulation. As for me, I'm doing better now. The divorce was hard, and there are still days when I feel angry or sad about how things turned out. But I'm focusing on my career in the Army and spending time with friends and family who have been supportive throughout this whole ordeal. I've also started seeing a therapist to work through my trust issues. I know not all women are like Karen, but this experience has definitely made it harder for me to open up and trust others. It's something I'm working on. I've had a few people suggest that I should feel vindicated or happy about what happened to Karen with Bill, but honestly, I don't. I'm not glad she got hurt. I just feel sad about the whole situation. Sad for the marriage we lost, sad for the future we'll never have, and sad that two people I once cared about turned out to be so different from who I thought they were. Some days, I still catch myself thinking about the good times Karen and I had together. Our first date, our wedding day, the plans we made for the future. It's hard to reconcile those happy memories with how things ended up, but I'm trying to focus on the lessons I've learned from this experience instead of dwelling on the pain. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is the importance of communication in a relationship. If Karen had doubts or concerns about my fidelity, she should have talked to me about them. And maybe I could have done more to reassure her when I was away on deployment. It's something I'll keep in mind for future relationships. I've also learned a lot about self-respect and standing up for myself. Walking away from my marriage was one of the hardest things I've ever done, but I know it was the right choice for me. I deserve to be with someone who trusts me and who wouldn't betray me the way Karen did. To those who commented on my original post and offered advice and support, thank you. Your words helped me through some really tough times. And to anyone else who might be going through something similar, know that it does get better. It's not easy, and it takes time, but you can get through it. As for me, I'm taking things one day at a time. I'm focusing on my career, my personal growth, and surrounding myself with positive people. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm hopeful. And for the first time in a long time, I'm at peace with my decisions.